Welcome everyone to another short video post. When I was flying back from Moscow the other night, I was accidentally discovering some keyboard shortcut feature of the Surface keyboard that surprised me. I had the Surface 2 and then the Surface 3 for quite some years now already. It always annoyed me that this brightness keys would not generate a key code for brightness control, but instead internally in the keyboard hardware already control the keyboard brightness. Maybe you see this on the video. If I press this button, you see the keyboard brightness coming up and going down again. I already found this quite annoying because I would actually prefer this to control the brightness of the display. To work around this, I made entries to control the brightness from my context menu in the window manager here. I don't need to change it so often anyways. While coding during the flight, I wanted to simply delete some characters from some other keyboards and machines like Apple keyboards. I'm used to use function backspace to delete characters, and nothing much happened. And only after pressing it the second or third time, I accidentally realized that this changes the display brightness. From the first press, 100 to maybe 90%, it was not immediately obvious. Only I pressed it the second or third time, I realized, wait a second, the display brightness changes. And in years of use, I never realized this. This is really some crazy shortcut that you would never have guessed unless you Googled how to change brightness on a surface from the keyboard. But who Googles things like this, right? And then pressing around a little bit, discovered that the next key is this delete key, brings the brightness up. So you have function, backspace, delete to control the brightness on the surface. But this is really crazy. I really wonder what they were thinking with this. This is certainly nothing someone with a sane mind would find out. And yeah, it is good to know for me after so many years, but still really surprising. And I really wonder what these big companies, they have so many 100,000 employees, and you would think they think everything through. You would think they have the best designers and whatever. For me, this is really not logical to have this very visible, outstanding brightness buttons to control the keyboard backlight, and this totally hidden key combination, function, backspace, delete, to control the display brightness. I find this really crazy. I like much more, I think on the Lenovo ThinkPad it was, that function, backspace controls the keyboard brightness, because the keyboard brightness certainly is something you're not going to change very often. And for me it would make much more sense. Much more sense to me would also be to have all these buttons generate key codes or scan codes, and having the operating system and user applications being able to alter this behavior. Microsoft hardwired these brightness buttons to be handled inside the keyboard electronics internally. For me, this is also not a very logical choice. I would, as a designer, as a hardware and software designer, I would much more prefer this to generate scan codes and key codes for software to be able to flexible configure this. Like I, for years, was thinking these buttons are really stupid. I want this to control display brightness. With this generating normal key codes on the USB or I2C, I would have already years ago solved this issue for myself, mapping these buttons to the display brightness as I would prefer. And another interesting quirk is that when you close this cover, actually the device fully disappears. Now, and as you saw when I typed, no keyboard was showing up because it takes some seconds for the USB. I think this was it USB. Yeah. Here, this was USB. Microsoft Corp. So I also find this a little bit strange of a design choice to fully unconnect the USB device when it's closed. Maybe it saves a very small amount of electricity while it's closed, but honestly, I usually do not carry this powered on, and sometimes it's a little bit annoying that it takes some seconds for the keys to work again if you fold it. By the way, I think this was the type cover for the Surface 4 that I brought later. I think this was the original cover for the Surface 3. And as you can see, this key combination works exactly the same on the old type cover 3. The reason I upgraded is that I never found the original type cover 3 pleasant to type, because the keys have no spacing, and when you really type a little bit more, you always easily press the next key, and also the touchpad was quite small. That was also a little bit annoying. So I upgraded to the type cover 4, which thankfully also works on the Surface 3. Yeah, so I wanted to quickly share this find. And even if you don't have a surface, it may still be interesting for you to know that some keyboards sometimes are hiding secret and hidden key combinations. And also that these multi-billion-dollar companies with their huge design teams and designers and such do not always make the very best choices when it comes to this kind of usability issues, because I think many of you will agree that these combinations are a little bit strange. And speaking of which, you probably have seen that the cursor was jumping around there a minute ago. So yeah, this phantom touch, that zone thing is still not fully gone even after calibration. Sometimes it's a little bit strange. Some days it comes back, often it works, but like today there were some phantom touching going on, and here's that zone. So people are definitely not making this issue up. And even though I run this calibration tool, it still sometimes appears. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you learned something, and don't forget to subscribe for many more videos to come.